Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive, really getting into a subject that, well, it straddles science, mysticism, and some truly wild conspiracies. Orgonite.
Hmm.
Our source for this exploration is a fascinating online video. It really dissects Orgonite, its history, what it supposedly does, and just this whole array of surprising claims.
Yeah, it's quite a piece of work.
So our mission for you, our listener, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from this material, help you grasp what Orgonite is, what it's claimed to do, and maybe most provocatively, why our source hints it's been, well, forbidden.
What's really fascinating, I think, is how the source weaves it all together. You've got historical research, these alternative theories, and it all kind of builds up to a distinct call to action.
Right.
So we're going to try and untangle the core concepts first, and then maybe connect them to the broader, sometimes really controversial implications the source brings up.
Okay, so to really get Orgonite, we need to start at the beginning with an Austrian psychiatrist, Dr. Wilhelm Reich, early 20th century.
That's the guy, Reich.
He researched something he called orgone energy. Sounds pretty intriguing, doesn't it? What exactly did Reich claim this orgone was?
Intriguing is definitely one word for it. According to Reich, orgone wasn't just an energy. He described it as a cosmic life energy. Omnipresent, but too subtle to be measured with everyday instruments.
Too subtle for regular instruments. Okay.
Yeah. The core idea, his radical proposition really, was this universal life energy, fundamental to existence. He saw orgone as this kind of unseen, primordial force shaping our world.
So like the force?
Oh, well, maybe closer to concepts like qi in traditional Chinese medicine, or prana and Ayurveda and Tantra, that kind of vibe.
Ah, okay. Got it. Life force energy.
Exactly. And Reich outlined some key properties. He said organic materials like resin attract and hold it,
Okay.
while non-organic metals attract it, then rapidly repel it, like a push-pull thing.
Interesting.
He also claimed it fills all space, it's mass-free, penetrates matter at different speeds, it pulsates,
Yeah.
and has a strong affinity for water.
Wow. Okay. Lots of properties.
And crucially, he believed it's accumulated naturally in living things through breathing, eating, skin absorption, just basic life functions.
But it's not all sunshine and rainbows with orgone, is it? Our source brings up a really key distinction. It differentiates between two forms.
That's right. This is important. Positive orgone, or POR, and then deadly orgone, DUR, sometimes called stagnant qi.
Deadly orgone. Sounds ominous.
It does. The source explains that natural environments, think waterfalls, mountaintops, lush green forest, they're supposedly charged with this balanced, harmonious energy, the POR.
The good stuff.
Right. And stagnant energy, DUR, that's often linked to modern tech emitting EMFs, like mobile phone masts, microwaves, also pollution.
And the source claims being surrounded by this DOR, it's bad for your health.
Yeah, makes a pretty strong claim there. It says it can lead to ill health, maybe even contribute to the rise in chronic diseases because our habitats lack that balanced energy. It also highlights organs' role in the human body. It says it's vital for survival, and blockages, like energy blockages, can cause illness, which, kind of echoes ideas in acupuncture with meridians or the chakra system.
Okay, that makes sense, connecting it to those systems. So let's get physical. What actually is orgonite, the substance itself?
Right. So orgonite is typically made of resin, metals, usually shavings, and quartz crystal.
Resin, metal, quartz.
And the source specifies a 50-50 mix. The resin is considered organic. Bit of stretch maybe, it's petrochemical based, but that's the term used.
Okay, organic-ish.
And the metal shavings are, of course, inorganic.
Yeah.
Then the quartz crystal, that's absolutely key. It has piezoelectric properties,
Piezoelectric.
meaning it gives off a small electrical charge when it's put under pressure.
Ah.
And here's the clever bit, according to the theory. When the resin cures, it shrinks slightly. And that shrinking puts constant, steady pressure on the quartz crystal embedded inside.
So the crystal is always on, in a way, always giving off that charge.
That's the idea, yeah. And if we take that physical description a step further, the source explains how this whole setup creates what it calls a scrubbing action.
A scrubbing action for energy.
Sort of. The constant attraction and repulsion of energy by the resin and metals, remember the push-pull, combined with the quartz crystal's charge, that supposedly cleanses stagnant and negative energy. DUR, basically.
Yeah.
Brings it back to a healthy, vibrant state, POR.
Wow. Okay, so it's like an energy filter or transformer.
That's a good way to put it. And the reported benefits people mention are pretty wide-ranging.
Like what?
Well, listeners often describe things like better sleep, more vivid dreams, just feeling more energetic,
Yeah.
balanced moods, less sensitivity to EMFs.
The EMF thing is interesting.
Definitely. Also, spiritual and psychological growth, even increased resistance to illness. But, and this is really important, the source includes a crucial disclaimer.
Just.
Orgonite should never be used as a substitute for professional medical care. That's vital.
Absolutely. Good point. So how do people actually use this stuff, according to the source?
Well, the most common initial use seems to be balancing your own energetic field, personal space, and maybe protection against EMFs.
Yes.
But the reported uses go way beyond that.
Yeah.
Some people claim it deepens their meditation.
Okay.
Others use it to try and boost plant growth.
Really? Like in the garden?
Yeah, or houseplants. Also, removing negative energy in specific places, like a room that feels heavy or weird, and even strengthening intentions or visualizations, like focusing your thoughts.
That's quite a list. Any other specific applications mentioned?
Yeah, Feng Shui comes up, strategically placing Orgonite in your home to balance energy flow, qi, bring good fortune, that kind of thing.
Where would you put it, according to Feng Shui principles?
Often near electrical appliances,
Yeah.
sources of EMFs, or in areas that just feel a bit off. Some people even grid a room or their whole house, putting pieces in the four corners for maximum effect.
Gridding. Okay.
And there's another fascinating idea introduced, that our consciousness can actually interact with Orgonite.
Mind over matter.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The source suggests subtle energy has its own intelligence, and our thoughts, our emotions, can actually shape material reality with orgon energy.
Okay, that's taking it to another level.
Definitely.
And speaking of other levels, this is where our source really dives into the deep end, isn't it? The really dramatic claims start coming thick and fast.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up.
Our source claims Orgonite is get this, a direct threat to the black magic occultic matrix that imprisons us.
Whoa.
Yeah. And suggests this is why it's been forbade by the Illuminati from mass production and use.
Okay, Illuminati black magic matrix. We're definitely in conspiracy territory now.
Absolutely. The narrative frames Orgonite not just as a tool, but like a weapon in some kind of hidden cosmic war.
And it connects us back to Reich's fate, right?
Yeah, it does. It goes deep into it. According to this video, Reich's books were burned by the FDA. He was imprisoned and supposedly died of heart failure in prison. But our source claims that was just an excuse to shut him down, to stop his work.
And the smear campaign idea.
Right. It details how platforms like Wikipedia supposedly smear Reich and Orgon, call it pseudoscientific, link Reich to sexual fascination.
Which the source tries to reframe.
Exactly. It offers a counter-argument. Says Reich's use of orgarn, which does stem from orgasm and organism, isn't about sex in a crude way, but refers to that positive life energy, the prana or chi, the feeling of love energy, before physical intimacy.
Trying to reclaim the term as love energy. Interesting spin.
So if Orgonite is this huge threat, what exactly is it threatening, according to the source? What's the mechanism?
Well, this is where it gets really specific. The speaker claims it can actively negate cell phone power radiation, Wi-Fi signals, including the 5G network.
Negate 5G, that's a big claim.
Huge. And also disperse chemtrails.
Chemtrails too, wow.
And it gets even more extraordinary. The source states Orgonite actually battles negative entities.
Like ghosts, demons.
The source mentions reptilians and archons, describes them as parasitic interdimensional beings, and claims these entities just cannot handle or be around Orgon.
Reptilians and archons. Okay, this is, yeah.
It introduces Don and Carol Croft. They apparently adapted Reich's findings and went around the world gifting Orgonite, putting it near cell towers, power plants, places like that.
Gifting it?
Yeah, that's the term they use. And the source relates stories of decreased violence and improved moods in supposedly war-torn areas after this gifting.
Anecdotal, obviously, but...
Of course. And specific devices get mentioned, too. The Cloudbuster, which sounds like something from Ghostbusters,
yeah.
claimed to disperse chemtrails. And the Towerbuster, designed to negate Death Tower radiation from cell phone towers.
Cloudbusters and Towerbusters. Got it.
There's even this one story recounted, pretty vivid, about someone deploying a Cloudbuster and then having a military helicopter buzz their house repeatedly afterward.
Seriously. Implying surveillance.
That's the suggestion, that the military or some agency was monitoring chemtrail disruption. It's quite a visual, isn't it?
It really is. They know how to tell a story.
Oh, definitely. And finally, it briefly mentions Doncroft's Zapper device, supposedly for parasites, but also claimed to be suppressed technology.
Another suppressed tech. It's a recurring theme.
Very much so.
And then just when you think it can't get any stranger, there's a pop culture connection.
Yeah, this one's pretty fun, especially if you're a sci-fi fan. Stargate SG-1.
Stargate. How does that fit in?
Our source points to a specific episode, Thor's hammer. There's a device in it that stops the gold, those nasty reptilian-like parasites from using the Stargate on that particular planet.
Okay, I think I remember that one.
Well, the source claims that device was a direct reference to Orgonite, an allegory for its supposed ability to stop these negative entities.
Wow. Hiding it in plain sight, kind of?
That's the implication. And the Stargate thing feeds right into another, perhaps even wilder, theory about Reich's fate.
Wilder than being shut down by the FDA.
Well, yeah. This theory suggests Reich wasn't just imprisoned until he died. Instead, he was recruited and kept in secret by the CIA.
Recruited to do what?
To help fight against interdimensional aliens and archons in deep underground military installations.
Yeah.
DUMBs. Using his Orgonite devices, presumably.
So from prisoner to secret government alien fighter?
That's the narrative presented. It all ties into this overarching theme from the source.
Yeah.
The source calls them the occult corporate world order, agencies involved in secret space programs. They don't want humanity using Orgonite widely.
Why not?
Because according to the source, it directly counters things like Agenda 21, which is framed as a covert depopulation plan. Orgonite supposedly neutralizes the tools of this agenda, like chemtrails and maybe even GMOs.
Okay. That's a huge conspiracy narrative right there.
It really is. It connects a lot of dots, whether you find it plausible or not.
So despite all these monumental claims, these conspiracies, the source does actually give some practical info, right, about getting or making Orgonite.
It does, yeah. Kind of brings it back down to earth a little bit at the end. It lists different types you might come across. Holy hand grenades.
Holy hand grenades, like from Monty Python.
Huh. Probably inspired by it. Also tower busters, cloud busters, pendants you can wear, pyramids, and something called Black Sun Orgonite.
Black Sun Orgonite. Any idea what that is?
The source doesn't elaborate much, but it sounds like a specific, maybe more potent variation.
Okay. And making it yourself?
Don Croft, who was mentioned earlier, apparently offers tutorials online. The basic recipe is still resin, metal, and crystals. But there's one crucial detail emphasized.
What's that?
Any spiral coils you might include, like copper coils, must be wound in a clockwise direction.
Clockwise only. Why?
Because counterclockwise, according to the source, supposedly creates deadly orgon, or Dior. So directionality is key in this framework.
Right. Got to get the spin right. I'm buying it.
eBay is suggested as a place to look, but with a cautionary note.
Wow.
Get what you pay for, and make sure it looks like it's made correctly, presumably with that 50-50 mix and the right components.
Buyer beware, essentially.
As with many things in this space, yeah.
So, wow. We've just unpacked the fascinating, often seriously mind-bending world of Orgonite. I mean, from harmonizing energy and EMF protection all the way to battling secret entities and global agendas.
It's quite the journey this source takes you on.
Definitely a wild ride. And the speaker in our source, they explicitly said this whole deep dive was meant as a positive message, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Highlighting that, in their view, there is something people can do about negativity and wanting to encourage awareness about Orgonite.
Right. Whether you believe the wilder claims or not, the core message seemed to be one of empowerment.
Which leaves us with a pretty big question, I think.
What's that?
Well, in a world where we're increasingly concerned with unseen energies, EMFs, environmental impacts,
Yeah.
how do we navigate this? How do we discern between what science can currently measure and what people only sense or experience subjectively, like our source describes?
That's a tough one. Where's the line?
Exactly. And maybe even more fundamentally, what's the real power of belief itself in shaping our experience of reality, regardless of whether something is scientifically proven or not?
Belief shaping reality. That's definitely something to chew on, a really provocative thought to end on.